I've got a new show for you today. I've got someone pretty special. Her name is Pyle. Welcome to the Content Supply Podcast. I'm Dallin Need, and each episode we bring you an inspiring brand, creator, or message to help you discover how you can experience success in your business as we unpack stories and strategies about all things content and growing a successful brand. So this is just a whole discovery process for all of us. We feature a variety of different brands on the show, from entrepreneurs, entertainers, copywriters, marketers, coaches, athletes, to designers, filmmakers, photographers, and many more. All brand owners, all creators. So it's my belief, as with many others, that every company is a content company and has to be one to stay relevant and competitive. Because let's be honest, the internet is so full of brands that it can be very easy to get lost in the crowd. So quality and effective content really separates you. That's why Content Supply was created, to supply brands with ongoing custom content so they can engage with their customers by providing value, telling stories, and making more sales. And when we say content, I'm talking about video and audio and written or image, all and everything in between, all those. Content creation and building a business is really hard. You never finish the building and creating. Even after you experience some success, you have to keep going on the journey. Content Supply was created to be a resource, a community, and a solution to fill that large gap of content. So thanks for joining the show. And now let's get to the interview. Caitlin is a former freelancer turned multi-million-dollar business owner. In 2014, she started her first blog, Proofread Anywhere, which has since grown into multiple brands and products and is now part of her media company, BCP Media. In May 2017, Caitlin and her husband Ben officially achieved millionaire status. One of her favorite things to do is write. For the first few years of her entrepreneur life, she boxed herself in and wrote almost exclusively about proofreading and freelancing because she believed that's all people wanted from her. Now she's coming out of her shell to write about loads of other stuff: mindset, fitness, overcoming fear and doubt, success, making and saving and spending money, and building an online business. Her goal is to inspire you, kick you swiftly in the pants on occasion, and encourage you to design a life you love, one email at a time. So Caitlin, thank you so much for coming on the show today.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
So give me a quick story overview and why you decided to build a brand for yourself.
Well, I didn't start out wanting to build a brand necessarily. I was working as a freelance proofreader, which is something I'd been doing since 2007 in some capacity, but had really amped it up as a side hustle in 2009 when I started working in a court reporting office in Orlando. And I figured out that, proofreaders are a necessity for the spoken word when it's, in a lawsuit of some kind. And so yeah, I started getting a few clients on the side while I was working it was an 8 to 5 job. And at the time, I didn't even know that I could make a full-time income from a side hustle. I didn't even realize that I could generate income not from a regular job, because that's not what you learn in college. You go to college thinking you're going to get a regular job and climb a corporate ladder. And but that's the old American dream. That's what it was back in the 50s, 60s, 70s, 80s, and 90s, is like you go to college and you get a job. That's the way it works. And so I was all set to go. And then I was like, oh yeah, well, when I'm 27, 28, 29, I think I got my first job at 22, that job at the court reporting office. Yeah. And then I was like, okay, well, I'll work here for like 8 or 9 years. And then I'll quit and have a family. And like, that was the dream, It's like, but then about a year or so into that job, I started to really, really hate it and I felt like the policies of, if you're done with your work, you have to go and do somebody else's work and all that stuff. I just thought it was complete BS. I'm like, this is the most ridiculous thing ever. Why am I spending 9 hours of my day here And why am I only allowed, I couldn't even clock out at 4:59. I couldn't clock in at 8:01. Like they were just micromanaging me. And I wasn't making a lot of money at the time. When I first started, it was $12 an hour. And then I grew and eventually got to $16 an hour. And they acted like that was some huge favor because, they're hiring college students at $12 an hour, with 4-year degrees and whatever. And it was just a really bad place to work. And I eventually got fired. It was August 2011. I got fired, and I had already put in my notice, and it's because I was breaking the rules. I was like really just I should have just quit, and I admit that I was wrong. I deserved to get fired, but the way that they fired me, it was threats. It was, slander, telling people that I got fired for stealing. In their mind, it was like, oh, you weren't, working every hour you're here, so you're stealing company time. And so they would tell people I was stealing. I wanted to go be a personal trainer. So my boss told me that I would never become a personal trainer because my butt was too big, and that I was a horrible person, that I would die alone. I had just gotten married, and she told me that I shouldn't have children, and that she felt sorry for my husband, and like just horrible things. And then she convinced me that what I had done was a crime, and that if I didn't pay her $2,000, that I would get in all kinds of trouble. And I was just so naive at the time.
Wow, that's so toxic.
So toxic. And I didn't know, I knew that she wasn't the best person, but I didn't know just how not good that she was until that happened. And I got a few harassing emails after that in response to a heartfelt apology, because I knew that what I had done was wrong, and that I just was too afraid to quit. I think not everybody teaches how to get a job, but nobody teaches you how to quit a job. And you just had so much fear around the next chapter of your life. And this woman is literally the same age as my mom, and there I was, like 24 years old, newly married, it was my first job, and they're treating me like garbage. And it's just not a good example to set, no matter what the person has done wrong. And yeah, and I did not commit a crime. If anything, they committed a crime. I talked to an employment attorney, and they're like, no, you could totally sue them for extortion or something like that. But I just want to be done with it. And so at that point, I did go to personal training school. I spent $7,000 on personal training school. I did become a personal trainer. I did it for 3 years, but I did find that I liked the independence of working for myself more. So I had my proofreading clients, and eventually I built that into more. I got on with like an agency that had a lot more possibility for work. And so I just started working more with them, and my business grew, and I just kept saying yes to the work that would come my way. And before I knew it, my proofreading income was higher than my personal training income. And then people would start asking me how I was able to work from home. And so I would teach them. And then that's where the idea to actually create a blog came about. But at the time I didn't know that, that I was a blogger, or even when I launched my online course and I made like my first $10,000, which it only took a few weeks to get to that point. I didn't know that what I was doing was called blogging, and I didn't know that I was creating a brand. I didn't know that I was becoming an influencer or anything like that. But we ended up generating with Proofread Anywhere. The course launched February 2015, and within less than 90 days, we had done 100K in revenue with that brand. And to date, we've done more than $3 million in revenue.
Incredible. And that's Proofread Anywhere?
Yeah, that's Proofread Anywhere. And on top of Proofread Anywhere, it's grown. We're a media company now. My husband and I run BCP Media, Ben and Caitlin Pyle Media, basically. And we have investment projects as well. And so we've invested in the creator of Transcribe Anywhere to help grow her brand. And we've invested in scopeschool.com as well. And we've invested in a fitness personality who's the Guinness World Record of number of pull-ups in a minute, Michael Eckert. He can do 50 pull-ups in a minute. And he's working on beating his own record at the moment. But we're investors in him as well, just to grow. We just create content that sells. Like, we create content that adds value to people's lives. And Work at Home School is our latest project. And so it's just kind of snowballed. Like, I started with just the proofreading skill, and then I just did something with that. And then just when opportunities came my way, I just answered the door, even though I had been in the habit of saying, will somebody get that? Whenever opportunity would knock, I'd be like, all right, somebody else will do it, But I didn't start out, to answer your question, this is like a long story, but to answer your question, I didn't start out with the intention of creating a brand at all. It just kind of evolved that way. And I like it. I have to say, I really like it.
Wow. It's incredible to learn of that success that came from the time of struggle too? Because you weren't, I mean, you said you weren't necessarily looking to create a brand, so to speak, but
Right.
it just evolved in that and snowballed in that. And um, I think it's because you jumped on the opportunities that you saw. And
Mm-hmm.
how else did you basically leverage tools or resources that exist online, whether that be different course building tools or sales funnel practices? What different tools did you use to help bring in that first 100K or that first 10K?
Well, it was very basic. It was very basic. It was nothing fancy, nothing that cost a lot of money. I think the whole first rendition of my course cost less than $500, or at least less than $600. I used like the least expensive options. I didn't use Teachable or Thinkific, and I think those platforms are great. But I didn't have the best mindset. And that's really, I didn't think of it as like an investment. I thought of it as like, oh, spending this money. I just had a completely different mindset in what I was doing then as I do now. And so I was hesitant to spend money on stuff because I didn't think of it as an investment. I was convinced that, this is probably going to be just another little side hustle that maybe I get an extra $500 a month from a few students or whatever. I didn't expect for it to grow to where it did. And so I bootstrapped a lot of it, and I started with just a premium WordPress plugin that cost me, I think, $97, or it was like $87 because I found a coupon for it online. And then MailChimp, and I set up like a 7-day autoresponder, which in my mind was like, that's a sales funnel, and it really was because it worked. It basically just took somebody from very curious and then eventually led them to the sales page, which got me to sale. And so it was a very rudimentary form of a sales funnel in the form of like a free intro course to the type of proofreading that I was doing. And yeah, I didn't do a lot of video. Even the course was largely text because I was teaching proofreading, but I did have some videos about like grammar lessons and stuff like that. And I did influencer outreach, which I laugh at that now at the time because at the time I didn't think of it as influencer outreach. I was just like networking with affiliates marketers. I would type in proofreading and see who was blogging about it and then contact that blogger and say, hey, I have this course. Do you want to interview me on your site? And then I'll give you, I think it was like $75 per sign up or whatever. And then so I got a few people that said yes. And, that they were pretty much at my level now, or, a few years into their own blogging career. And, they didn't ask me what the EPC was. They're just like, yeah, I think my audience will like that. I'll try it out. You're going to be creating the content. I was the one answering the questions that basically would create a piece of content for them. They would post it, and then they've done almost no work, but because they have their audience, it's just really passive. And so I just made it a no-brainer for them. It really just worked with the network that I created. It was a little scary at first because I'm like, what if they say no? But it was something unique that they weren't offering already. And so it was kind of a no-brainer for them to be like, yeah, I'll check it out. And some people did say no, and some people are like, yes, but then they never followed up. And so some people are better at blogging than others.
To pull little nuggets from what you said, it sounds like it's not necessarily the tools that are the solution. It's ultimately the value of the product that you offered. And I think just by reaching out, the people that you reached out to initially, the affiliates or the influencers, is they pretty quickly saw either the value proposition you provided or just the ability to help provide additional value to their community already. And it wasn't rocket science. It was more of just, I'm Caitlin and I have an incredible product to sell. And because people saw that pretty easily, it sounded like the response was really positive.
Yeah, it was not, I wouldn't say that anybody could do it because I consider myself an exceptional writer. And so I can make a pitch to somebody and be really clear on what the offer is, why they should promote it, and then kind of give them social proof. And so I would reach out to a bigger blogger after I reached out to a smaller blogger and say, so-and-so is already on board and in the last week has generated X number of commissions. So even though I didn't have like the fancy EPC numbers or anything huge, I would just, drop some names on who was promoting or send them links to, an example of an interview that I could do for them. And I'm really grateful to those initial few people who took a gamble. It was really a gamble because I had no proof other than, my own blog and testimonials, but I had no proof that my product would sell for their audience, and they took a risk. And even even if it was a small risk to them, it paid off for them and for me. So yeah, it's definitely, I think about those relationships. It's a relationship economy with content. You use your content to build relationships. And that was basically what me posting, I call it trust by proxy. And so I would create content in the form of an interview for these bloggers, and their audience would say, oh, so-and-so is promoting or introducing me to their friend, right? And so I would gain trust of their audience because I was on their blog, and it's so much more effective than me just coming on as a guest. It's more effective than me just doing a guest post where I talk about proofreading and then pitch my course. And so interviews just allow at least give the appearance that the blogger is the one like in charge, and not her or him just handing over the reins to some marketer. And yeah, that's why I like interviews way more than guest posts where I just like write content and then pitch a product. I don't like doing that. I'll do it, but.
And I think the interview, whether it be podcast, video, written, it gives the ability to provide a little bit more of that, I guess, supportive or that relationship aspect of marketing, because it's those on, kind of like what we're doing now, right? Those on both the giving and receiving side are getting benefit out of the experience of like, this is to provide value for a community I'm looking to build around those who are looking to learn more of the know-how behind content creation or building a brand, but also for your side is you're looking to reach out to those who are interested in learning how to improve their proofreading, their copywriting skills, or now more recently, your work at home school experience, and that ability to live and to work at home and to have more of that financial freedom for yourself and your family.
Yeah.
How did your husband get involved? Now that you guys create, it's BCP Media?
Yeah, BCP, Ben, Caitlin, Pyle Media. Will, he was working a job that he hated. He was at financial aid at a private university, for-profit university. So I like to call those the original information products, where people pay a ridiculous amount of money to go to the school that he was working at. Like they would come out with like $100,000 in debt for like a 2-year program. It was like a tech film making, video game, graphic, that kind of school. Really, really, really expensive program. And he was in charge of getting financial aid for them, basically setting up their ball and chain for the rest of their lives financially, unfortunately. And it was just like draining him. And so he was really unhappy there and had started to listen to podcasts and had heard several different interviews with entrepreneurs that were living the life that we're now living, basically, with our own products and our presence online and selling things that were valuable to people and solving people's problems. And he was just really inspired by that. And so he started to get into entrepreneurship and how to build a business, and joined a program called The Foundation, which was basically to learn how to build a software business. And getting introduced into that community, even though he didn't come out with a software himself, we ended up with Proofread Anywhere, basically, because he was sharing things about online business with me. And so I learned through osmosis. I was very skeptical. I was like, I don't like those online marketers. They are slimy, they're manipulative, they're just not people I want to be associated with, because I had been targeted by just bad marketing. I think anybody who says they don't like marketing just has been targeted by a lot of bad marketing. And so now I know that, and I keep that in mind when I market. I'm like, I'm not going to be like all those old marketers, because you can do it your own way. It's just being yourself. It's super authentic, and that's what draws your ideal audience to you, is the people that speak your language, basically. And you have to be willing to speak that language and not try to speak the same language everybody else is speaking. People know that.
It's kind of like short-term and long-term gain. I think those who are more those slimy type, they're looking for the short-term, quote-unquote, success, really, the quick financial gains, versus if you want to build something long-term, you have to put stock in the relationships and the authenticity.
Yeah.
And not just let that be lip service as well.
Yeah. Or like, so-and-so is saying this and got this result, so I can say this and get the same result. No, like you might get some short-term results, but if you can't deliver, and if people sign up for whatever you're offering and they're just like, you don't know what you're talking about, it's going to show. And so you might be able to get some short-term gains like that way, cheating your way to success, but then it's not going to be long-term, because it takes a lot more effort to to really build a business than it does to just like, well, I should say it actually takes more effort to fake it than it does to make it. And so a lot of people say, oh, you fake it till you make it. But no, if you actually take the time to make it, then instead of trying to fake it the whole way, copy other people and not really learn the skills you need to do what you're trying to do, then it just doesn't come out in the end. So so Ben would just like put bugs on my ear on stuff. And then finally one day, it was November 2014, I was like, all right, I'm going to buy a domain. And that's when I bought Proofread Anywhere, November 1st, 2014. And within 10 days, I had my ebook up for sale. I was just like it was just like my minimum viable product. Didn't know that's what it was called at the time. Just everything I thought somebody needed to know to be able to do what I did. And we sold like 17 copies of the book or like the one-on-one training program. And from there, we were able to create an online course. But when I launched the book, I had no intentions of making anything more than a book. I thought it would just be like an extra $700 a month or something, max from the amount of people that I could train every month one-on-one. I had no idea how to scale it into an online course. I just thought, you can't teach proofreading online and all this stuff. I had all these like mental blocks, but because of Ben's involvement, he was able to show me other people were teaching skills online. And so I just thought about it. I'm like, how could I could, use a screencast software, plug it in my iPad, and then, do an annotated video where I show people how to use the tools. And I just came up with the ideas and put it all together into a course. And so we didn't create software, but that's basically how Ben was involved. That was the original question. It was like, he kind of pushed me into getting started and showing me the possibilities. And honestly, listening to the stories of the people that have made $100,000 in 3 months, which is what we ended up doing anyway, the stories, they turn me off. I'm like, that's a pipe dream. That'll never happen for me. But it wasn't until he said that somebody he personally knew in one of his like small group masterminds had made like $1,200 in a month. I'm like, all right, that sounds more realistic. It'd be really cool. Or maybe it was like I think it was $3,500, which was about the average amount of income I made as a freelance proofreader. I'm like, if I could make that much selling an online course, I wouldn't have to proofread anymore. And so that was kind of like my goal, was to replace my proofreading income with more passive. I can't call it passive by any means, but with a more passive, not exchanging time for money, like directly, something that I could earn where I wasn't, spending the time doing the work kind of thing.
Yeah, definitely. Did you have an existing email list and community that already built up by the time you launched? Or did you kind of kickstart this course and then start to build your audience after starting that course?
We had a small list of people that I knew just from starting the ebook, and like my crappy WordPress site was up, and somehow people were finding it. And I was in different Facebook groups and would occasionally just write about it. I went on Fiverr. This was like shady marketing, but I literally did not know any better. I went on Fiverr and found proofreaders offering their services for next to nothing. And I was like, do you want to learn a better way? And I asked them to join my newsletter. And so through that, like just totally manual marketing, I was able to build a little bit of an email list. I posted some ads on Craigslist that got me, got flagged like every single time. And it was crazy because people thought that I was offering a job, but I wasn't. And it was very clear in the ad, but people would click over and be like, oh, she wants to train me, not give me money. Right. So I would be met with a lot of skepticism because I was marketing to only proofreaders that were already proofreaders, right? But I still got my first few clients doing that. And then when we launched the course, that was the ebook. When we launched the course, I had about 220 people on the email list, and we sold to 18 people that week, which ended up being just under $4,000 of revenue. So that was already pretty cool to have made that in a week. And that was the original goal, was to do that in a month. It was really exciting. But then from there, branching out and building through affiliates and just getting more exposure on other people's blogs, doing interviews and guest posts, mostly interviews and that kind of thing. That's how I grew my list, because I would just be a guest on, like I was on the Penny Hoarder before the Penny Hoarder got super big. And so I met Pyle, the owner of Penny Hoarder, when he was still answering his own emails basically, and was able to be featured on his website. And I got tons of traffic. Money Saving Mom's a big blogger, sent a lot of traffic. So I got people into my rudimentary sales funnel that way, and grew my list that way, and paid affiliates that way. And I think just working with other people is critical, especially when you're just starting out. Because even somebody with like a list of 2,000 could send you some people, because there's so many affiliate marketers that want to make money selling other people's products. They don't have their own products, but if you have a product, then they can market it as almost as if it was their own product, basically. And just collaborating and not being afraid to step out, I think it's just so key. People look at other bloggers and look at them as like competition, but in reality we're teammates, and we're all different. We all offer something of value, unless, and I know there's people out there that do this, unless you're literally ripping off somebody else's product, we all have something unique to offer. And so if we can see past the similarities and look at the fact that we all speak slightly different languages, or vastly different languages in some cases, and we can all offer something of value to our audience. So I started doing affiliate marketing in August of 2015. So about 6 months or so after we launched the course, somebody approached me and asked to promote a bookkeeping course. And I was like, my audience will hate that. Initially I was really skeptical. I'm like, why would I promote something that's not proofreading? I couldn't wrap my mind around it. But then I was like, because not everybody on my list is an ideal fit for my product. But most people don't make that connection. And then they're just like, I blog about cooking. I can only blog about cooking. And so like with the work at home school, we're trying to break that mindset of like, no, probably good 50% of your list wants to work from home. And so you can promote something like that that's really going to add value to their lives and add money into your pocket as an affiliate marketer. So just kind of helping people collaborate instead of looking and, living in this little box of a blog, thinking that they can't break out of that. If I can break out of the proofreading box and start marketing all kinds of stuff to my audience, and I think anybody can.
And I think it's evidence too of what you've been able to build with your husband is it goes beyond just you now. You guys have this shared company, BCP Media, which has then evolved Proofread Anywhere. And you did another one. It was Proofread Anywhere and
Transcribe Anywhere, schooltoschool.com, and then now Work at Home School.
So you already kind of talked about how everything evolved into Work at Home School. Tell us more about it. What is included in the course? What are the benefits? What is kind of you can't call it a promised outcome, but what's kind of the results that you're hoping people will experience?
Sure, yeah. Well, the unique thing about Work at Home School is that it's not just a program. I didn't create all the content. A lot of my content is included in Work at Home School, but it's a collaborative project. And so we're bringing in instructors that already have proven results, and we're bringing in their content as contributors and instructors in Work at Home School. And so we're leading into the launch of Work at Home School with the Work at Home Summit. And so all the speakers in Work at Home Summit are the contributors in Work at Home School. And so instead of just bringing on a bunch of people to promote a product that I'm selling that only I'm going to benefit from, we're bringing on people to promote everybody's projects and everybody's content and helping a lot of people in the process, because our contributors have a lot of amazing skills that they're sharing with the world, and what's unique also about Work at Home School is that it's not just the content that's going to give you the skills, it's all the stuff that's in addition to that. So it's the mindset, it's fitness, it's focus, it's time management, it's productivity, it's all those things that we struggle with in creating a work at home lifestyle, all under one roof with proven experts to help in every area. And so there's going to be something for everybody in it. So there's 3 different levels, and you can progress through the levels as you kind of create your own payment plan in that way, starting with the curious level, moving up to the confident level, and moving up to the committed level, which is the top level that includes all of the content from our contributors. Well, I think Work at Home School is kind of like my debut out of being like a small time proofreading blogger. So for forever I've just been like the proofreading girl, and so people kind of assume that I don't know internet marketing, that I don't know as much as them if they've been blogging for 10 years or if they've been in affiliate marketing for longer than me or whatever. But I'm a really fast learner, and I have been fortunate to have the capital now with the BCP Media brands that I can invest a lot of money into building something huge and launching it that's going to help a lot of people. Like Work at Home School are investing over $100,000 to build it, and we're going to launch it. And if people don't know who I am now or think that, oh, she's just some dumb little blogger who blogs about proofreading, like how much money could that make? They're going to know who I am. And then anybody who's rejected me, like in the past for, collaboration. Like we're approaching a lot of people to contribute and to speak in the summit and everything. And, some people are just, rejecting that opportunity, thinking that it's not going to be worth anything. And I think they'll be sorry because it's going to be amazing. And there's no reason why it can't be amazing, because we're investing a lot in it, and we're bringing together some of the most brilliant minds in the work at home world to help a lot of people succeed. And nobody ever became poor by giving. And so we're just going to be giving and giving and giving, and just watching that multiply, I think. And it's just going to be amazing. I can't wait.
That's awesome. That's super exciting. So where can people find you online?
Well, probably like the most central hub is bcpmediainc.com. And that's kind of my all-in-one hub for people that want to learn about the courses that I create. And then also, if you're an affiliate that you want to market Work at Home School or Proofread Anywhere or Transcript Anywhere, you go to BCP Media, and there's a link for both. So you can learn more about the product or the brand, or you can learn about how to promote that product. And so bcpmediainc.com is the best way to find about everything that we do and all the content that we're either creators or investors in. CaitlinPyle.co is where you can sign up for my email list. And I send out 3 emails a week that people just rave about. They love my emails. And so if you want to sign up for those emails, it's cool. And Facebook, I'm on Facebook a lot. So just look up Caitlin Pyle and you can find me.
Awesome. And as you said too, you're a very talented copywriter, and now obviously a big, constantly growing brand owner. What's kind of some parting advice for someone just starting out? Where does someone begin if they want to build a work at home brand?
Yeah, that's a good question. So I would say that don't let the idea that you don't know how to do something be the reason that you don't learn how to do that thing. So I look back to November 2014, and I was saying, I don't know how to build a website, and if I let that continue to stop me, I've been saying that for months, because I thought my husband had been kind of putting things in my mind for quite some time since he had started his entrepreneurship program about getting something going. And I would always say, well, I don't know how to start a website. And then it would just stop there. I'd be like, okay, well, I guess I'm not doing it then, And so I would come up with, I don't know this, I don't know that, and use that as an excuse. And I didn't know that that's what it was at the time. I just thought that's a fact of life. I don't know how, so I can't, And I think a lot of people do that, especially if they're new and they'll see this interview and be like, I'm never going to be where she was. Well, that's why I love to talk about where I started so much, because I'm never going to forget that. And every time I start a new project now, even when I was first starting to build Work at Home School, I was like, well, I don't know how to do that. And you find people who do, and you learn from them. That's all you have to do. And you build skills, and that's what Work at Home School is about, is you build skills and you earn more money. That's all there is to it. And so don't let I don't know how stand in your way, and know that if you want to make more money, you just have to learn more skills. And that might be marketing skills. It might be a skill that you offer to people that they need, that will solve a problem for them. But it's just, I say most skills is more money.
Well, Caitlin, seriously, I've learned a lot just in this quick conversation with you. And I can see why people have paid so much money over all these years, it's been 3+ years.
Almost, yeah.
As you and Ben are building up, this empire of a business. So I'm super excited to see where you'll go from here, especially now with the start of Work at Home School, which does appeal to an even wider audience beyond just proofreading and copy. So I'm super excited to see what happens. And I appreciate that you hopped on and joined me in this conversation, this podcast. Thanks.
Yeah, thank you. I'm excited to see where you go as well. And I know our paths will continue to cross.
For sure. So we mentioned content and brand building throughout this episode. So if you're overwhelmed with running your business and you need more content, especially an ongoing constant supply of content that's custom, all in order to take your brand to the next level, then make sure to learn more and check out our website of Content Supply at contentsupply.io. So thanks for listening, everyone, and we'll see you on the next episode.